this right here is the Zhiyun Molus X60 RGB. It's a compact, battery-powered light that packs a punch. And just a quick disclaimer, Zhiyun did actually send me this product so I could make this video. So this light is meant to be portable and really easy to use, and one of the great use cases for it is interviews where you need to just throw up your lighting and you need something that's smaller and lighter and just you can travel with it. It's battery powered, easy to throw up for a lighting scenario in an interview, or something like a product shot where you just need an RGB light that's battery powered and you can just throw it on a table anywhere where you're actually doing product shots. And for me, I found the best use case, and that's where this light really excels. And so as far as performance of this light, I thought that because it's a 60 watt light and because it's so tiny and so small and it's battery powered, there's no way it would have enough power to compete with my 100X. And that is true, you do get more for that extra 40 watts and the fact that it's plugged in. Like, it is more powerful, yes, but it's much closer than I thought it would be. This light is actually able to get really close. This is at 1% power right now, and it's pointed straight at me. The 100X is pointed straight at me, but it's at 100% and it's shooting through some thicker diffusion material. But after doing some tests, I found that this light is actually more than enough power for a lot of scenarios, especially if you just want to throw it up as an accent light like I have here. And so it really is quite impressive that it competes with my 100X just because it is battery powered and it's so small and so light. I actually got a chance to use this in a real world client interview that I did recently, and you can see that footage right here. I think it looks great. The Molus X60 was what I used as an accent light in the background. I believe I had the light at something like 17% power, and I was able to use the bicolor mode to adjust so that the white balance was matching the lights in the background. And the fan speeds weren't actually a problem on it at all either, because it was near dead silent. I didn't actually think about that light at all because I never heard the fan come on. I wasn't really listening for it, and it was a fair distance away, but it was never a problem, especially at 17% power. And I will talk about fan speeds more in length later. So just speaking from the experience of using it on that real world client example, it was really awesome to have this light that is just small and light and really just powerful for what it is. The fact that I didn't have to think about bringing the right cables, bringing extension cables, making sure there's outlets nearby, making sure all those cables are managed properly on the floor so people aren't tripping on them. I mean, those are legitimate problems that having a battery-powered small light solve. During that client gig, I actually forgot to bring an extension cord, and so I was panicking a little bit as I realized I forgot one, that I needed to find outlets, because I didn't see any on the wall I planned to plug it into, and I didn't check for outlets, and one of the other walls luckily had one, and I was able to make it work. But the fact that I had this one battery powered meant that I didn't have to worry about that at all. I knew that it would just turn on and it would function properly, without any worries as to where to plug it in and where to get power for it. And so convenience was a really big key factor when I was using these lights on set for that recent client shoot. It's just really convenient to use this light, and especially as an accent light, I want to be able to just throw it on a stand in the background and know that it'll just function properly, and I want to focus more on my key lighting because that's going to be what I'm going to value a little bit more. That's where I want my attention to go instead of having to figure out where to plug in my background lighting. So some of the other features that this light has, it does actually have an RGB mode. I found that really helpful for some of the product shots that I've done for my channel for B-roll. It's really awesome to be able to, especially for my thumbnails. I'll show you some examples on screen, but I've been throwing in a blue sort of color that I've been using from the RGB mode on this light, and that's worked out really nicely as an accent color, and I think it really helps the images a lot. So another one of the features is that there is actually an app that you can use to control everything. I have not messed around with this at all, but that is an option that's there if you want it. That way you can control the entire thing wirelessly without touching the back of the light. Personally, I just use the bicolor mode most of the time, which is really handy to have to be able to flip between bicolor and RGB, and I think that's just really handy to be able to have bicolor, because that's what I use on my 100X, and that's, I think, the most useful in most scenarios you're going to be using this light for. Now, there are definitely times with this smaller, lighter, battery-powered light where you're going to want to use it for something like product shot, and in those scenarios, the RGB feature is also very useful. But yes, the bicolor one is probably the mode that it will be in for the most part when I'm using this light. So just to list a few pros and cons, it's compact, it's battery powered, and those are both amazing things to have. As I explained when I was talking about my real world client example, the fact that it's compact is easy to travel with, especially more so than this. Between the actual reflector dish for this light and then the light itself, it is definitely taking up a larger portion of the suitcase I travel with for lighting equipment compared to the smaller case that this light comes in. This just makes it a little bit easier for my lighting setup workflow when I'm actually on set, as well as traveling and getting lights to and from a set. So there are two main cons I found with this light. First of all, the fans can get a little bit loud if you're driving it at 100% power. Most of the time I haven't really been using it at 100% power, but it is something to be aware of, that if you are going to use it at 100% or really close to a microphone, you might pick it up. Right now I have it operating at 1% power to give me this edge right here, and that's almost still a little bit too much. I would almost want to turn that down a little bit more. But the fan is actually, I don't think, on at all right now, or if it is, I can't hear it at all from here. And I've found that in the RGB mode, especially when you're at 100% power, it does tend to be a little bit louder of a fan. And when you're around 50%, it's still very manageable. So it really depends on how much of this light's power you're going to use. The other main con that I found was just that this light's a little bit difficult to mount on a stand. My light that I have here actually has a handle that you can use to tip the light up and down. There's no way to do that on this light. That same tilting mechanism on my 100X allows me to just slot the light onto the stand, and I can let go of it even, and I know it'll stay there, and then I can just tighten it down. With this one, it's a little bit more of a pain to actually screw the entire light onto the stand. Before you actually put the battery and the reflector dish on, if you just have the light itself, you can screw that onto the stand a lot more easily, and then you can put the battery and the reflector dish on after it's on the stand. The same thing is helpful when you're taking the light off of the stand too, because when you're spinning the entire light, the battery will kind of lean it towards one side, and you run the risk of it getting to the last of the threads and then falling off. So I found that if you pull the battery and the reflector dish off first and then unscrew it, it's a little more manageable. So those two things kind of help solve that problem a little bit, but I'd still prefer if there was a slightly better way to slot it onto the stand and then tighten down and then be able to tilt it. But maybe there is some accessories out there that you can mount on the light stand that would add that functionality, like some kind of ball head that you put on the end of a light stand. The overall value you're getting out of this light is great. I think for someone who wants a light that's powerful and small and battery powered, it's going to be a really excellent option. The RGB feature allows this to be a really great option for product photography when it's paired with its size and the fact that it's battery powered. You can set it on the surface that you're actually shooting on. If you need a small, powerful, battery powered light that also has an RGB feature, I think this is a really great option. You can't really go wrong with it. So the last thing I want to tack onto the pros, this does actually come with a really nice carrying case. That actually, I think, is really helpful to be able to have everything in the carrying case for this light. Between the battery, the reflector dish, the light itself, and the power cord if you want to power it that way, having all of them in their own dedicated, really nice case is really helpful, I find. So that is the Zhiyun Molus X60 RGB. If you're interested in purchasing this product, please check out the affiliate link down below as it helps to support the channel. There's also a 10% off coupon code down below, so check that out too. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, so have a great day and happy shooting.